My friend Patty was picking her friend up, Nina Ivan, to make a day of flea market shopping in the country. Before she picked Nina up, she accidentally sprayed herself with gasoline, stepped into a puddle, and had to chase her credit card when it blew away with her receipt. When she picked up Nina, she recounted all of her mishaps. Nina said, "Well, then, the rest of the day will just have to be divine." Nina was the fashion director at Saks Fifth Avenue for 40 years. She said when she was young, she had the choice of going to college or having a two-piece cashmere sweater set. She chose cashmere sweater set. Welcome. Welcome to Sunday Coffee Hour. I'm Stanley Smith. At Sunday Coffee Hour, we talk about everything and nothing. This Sunday, we talked about having a chocolate piñata, going to India, having closed captions, saying the Pledge of Allegiance to Texas, and how it's easier to get away with stuff when you're a kid. The readings at Washington National Cathedral were from Isaiah. A garden causes what is sown in it to rise up. The nations will see your vindication. And Galatians, now that faith has come, we're no longer subject to the disciplinarian. The gospel was from John. In the beginning was the Word, and he was the Word. God is the ultimate plagiarizer. The sermon at Washington National Cathedral was by Patrick Kaiser. Patrick preached about the 12 days of Christmas, said the story of Christmas is just way too big for one day. John's story is necessary for the telling of the entire story. John's gospel telling of the Christmas story is often mistaken for the very beginning of the Bible. John looks at the story from a cosmic timeline. Patrick said theology is our limited and incomplete way to describe and comprehend God. Sometimes we need to adopt what popular culture has at hand to tell the story. That's what early Christians did in their time. John does not use the name of Jesus until quite late in his story because he's focusing on the concept of the word itself. The concept of the word having greater meaning than its literal meaning was part of Greek and Jewish thought at the time. John presented something new by implicating God as the Word himself. Patrick said God is not far off and inaccessible, but is present to us through tangible things in the world and through each other. We look at Christmas as a celebration of the birth of Jesus, but what if we looked at it as the birth of God into the world? Patrick said few of us think of ourselves as divine or godlike, but some early church leaders and thinkers saw Christ as a step for us to partake in a portion of divinity. That sounds problematic, but what's the alternative? To see ourselves as less worthy? We've all seen how that turned out. There's much darkness in the world, and it's time to see the light coming into the world instead. The worst thing that could happen is that we could get to the beginning of the end of this story a little sooner. At St. James Cathedral, Lisa preached about telling a story. Where do you begin and what do you include? She said often we realize that it's necessary to tell the backstory first, so we know what happened before, who these people are, and why everyone is behaving the way they do. In any given story, we have the option of leaving things in and taking things out, but it's all going to make an impact on how others perceive the story. Lisa said at Christmas time, our theological story intersects with our secular story with the celebration of New Year's Eve. She said we can all make New Year's resolutions and that perhaps we should resolve to have resolve to be the face of God and to bring the light into the world. She said St. John is correct. We're not the light, but we can testify to it. We don't have to solve all the problems in the world, and they might not all actually need to be solved, but we can offer the light of our face shining in the world with love and kindness. It's the best kind of resolve to have. In the musical Jesus Christ Superstar, Andrew Lloyd Webber says we don't have the time or resources to solve world hunger, but our hunger is filled and we should be grateful for what we have. I believe Marie Antoinette said something similar. Apparently this is biblical, but it all flies in the face of our current social justice model. I remember when John Buchanan retired, his last Sunday, and the huge reception that followed in the Gold Coast room at the Drake Hotel. Anderson Hall had been swept clear of the homeless population that usually resided there on Sunday mornings. No one questioned it or commented on it. There's a time and place for everything, and at other times there's not. I appreciate the other times, especially when it's time to offer praise and gratitude. There was a small altercation during the service at St. James this Sunday. During Lisa's sermon, she paused for a moment to assess the situation. Seeing no need to empty the sanctuary, she continued, "There is a lot of darkness in the world. We've abandoned the prosperity gospel and embraced social justice instead. Maybe we need less social justice and more prosperity gospel. It's all how it gets translated into the world." They have closed captioning at Washington National Cathedral. It sometimes says one thing and does another, but you get the general idea. This week, I noticed it translated the name Jesus Christ as Senor, Jesucristo. It was very amusing to me, but I got the general idea. Yes, we've all seen how focusing on the translation has really interfered with being a vessel for bringing light into the world. We're not here to be less of ourselves or even sell all that we have and give it to the poor. We're here to honor Senor Jesucristo. If you would like to join us at Sunday Coffee Hour is every Sunday at 12 noon Central Time on Zoom. I will include my email in the description of this video. I'll be happy to send you an invitation. And I look forward to seeing you very, very soon.